Kakadosh Boker or Masechet Menahot Daf Yomi Daf Samech Aleph Amud Aleph 61a1. You remember we were speaking about the concept of why are we including Menachot and taking out Minchat Nesachim from the hay of V'ikriva, not the opposite. So we answered, Marbani Shara Menachot Shebal Biglal Atzman. I'm coming to include other Menachot because they come on their own. Atzman. He says, Motzi Anita Nesachim, and I'm going to exclude Nesachim because they're not coming because of themselves, they're coming because of something else, which means when you bring a wine libation, Nesachim, you bring a Korban Mincha with the wine. Mincha is the flour offering, so you're bringing a flour offering with the wine. But you never bring it on its own. So the Minchat Nesachim is always accompanied by, right? It's always going to be accompanied by the wine. Any other type of a mincha, it could come on its own usually. Okay? So ask the Gemara, "V'alo mincha kohanim mincha kohen Mashiach ba'u bigdal atzman also." Right? It also comes on its own. When a Kohen Mashiach just means a Kohen that is anointed, right? Or the Minchat Kohanim, when they bring a mincha, it's also coming because of its own. So yachol yeh ta'unot hagasha. I would have thought to say you're going to need hagasha. Tamulomar v'gisha. This comes to exclude minchat kohanim and minchat kohen HaMashiach. So ask the Gemara, Hami baile legufe. We need v'gisha for itself to teach you that you do need hagasha. Meaning, when I come and I use the word v'gisha, it means you have to bring it to the mizbeach. Hagasha is to bring something forth. So I need that word for itself, that you're bringing it forth on the Mizbeach. So I can't use that word to exclude something else. So says the Gemara, min v'igish v'igisha. I could have actually said v'igish because the Torah says v'igish. When does it come and it say v'igisha? The fact that I could have used the terminology v'igish, which means to bring close to Mizbeach, and I used the terminology v'igisha, it does not work. So why am I including other menachot? And why am I going to exclude? I'm going to add all the other menachot because they comes on the fire of the mizbeach. And they come on their own. And the kohanim will take a part of them. I'm going to exclude the shtei alechem lechem apanim because they don't go in the fire. I'm going to exclude the minchat nesachim because it doesn't come by itself. And I'm going to exclude minchat kohanim, minchat kohen Mashiach, she'emen lekohanim, that nothing goes to the kohen. Meaning the minchat kohen, nothing, it's completely consumed on the mizbeach. Because imagine a kohen will come and he's going to bring a flour offering. He gives HaKadosh Baruch Hu the kmitza, which is nothing, and then he gets all the rest. It looks like a joke. You yourself, you just brought it. So when the kohen himself brings a mincha, the entire thing is kalil. The entire thing is burnt on the mizbeach, in order that nobody would ever say, he's bringing it for himself. Because if not, think about it. Imagine right now you're the clergy, you're the kohen. You bring a korban and you eat the entire thing. They're gonna say, you could look at you as a joke. You understand? Like, well, what are you doing? If it's somebody else bringing it, so fine. So then part of it goes to the mizbeach and part of it goes to the kohanim. That's fine. But it can't be by the minchat kohanim, right? That they would just take the kmitza, which is like a fistful, give it to Hashem, and all the rest goes to them. It looks like a joke. So therefore, the entire minchat kohen, right, goes to the mizbeach. The entire thing gets completely consumed, right? Next, veherim. When it says the pasuk veherim, right, it doesn't say how does he take the kmitza in his hand. But it says veherim hakohen mina mincha et askarata v'yiktira mizbecha. So I would have thought to say it could be used with a keli. Tamulomar veherim mimenu bekumtso. Ma rama amul lehalan bekumtso. Afarama amul kan is going to be bekumtso. Okay? So basically what we're learning is that it has to be davka with the comments and it cannot be done with a utensil. Okay? Fine. We're starting a new topic. Mishnah. The Mishnah on Samech Aleph Amud Aleph 61a, the Mishnah. Remember, every single Mishnah is a new concept. Again, they could be many times connected to the previous Mishnah, but a Kavanah, it's something new that now the Gemara is going to analyze the new Mishnah. So it says the Mishnah. You remember in the last Mishnah, we started off by telling you that there's going to be certain minachot that they need hagasha without tenufa. Then we said there's going to be other ones which need tenufa without hagashot. Some of them that need both, and some of them nothing. So now the last Mishnah was the majority, which were the ones that need hagasha without tenufa. Now we're going to learn the ones which need tenufa without hagasha. Tenufa is waving. So these are the korban mincha. Mincha is a flour offering. These are the korban mincha, right? The sacrifices of minachot that they need to be waved, right? That means they would come and they would wave the offering, right? But they would not be brought to the mizbeach. Okay? אלו תאונות תנופה ואין תאונות הגשה. Number one, log shemen shel metzora v'ashamo. The log shemen of metzora and his asham. Meaning, the metzora is going to bring a log of shemen. Remember, a log is a measurement in liquids. Let's just pretend it's a gallon. I don't have with me here. I couldn't find. We have to get another one or buy another one or find another one. That basically but it's very very simple. If we call a revi'it is revi'it of a log. Revi'it is either 86 milliliters or 150 milliliters according to the Chazon Ish, and that's a revi'it of a log. So when I want to find out what is a log, times it by 4. So it's either 150 times 4. That's much easier. That's 600 milliliters, right? Or it's going to be 86 times 4. Okay? So that's the log of shemen. He would bring one log of oil, right? This is the mitzorah, the one with leprosy. Va'ashamo, and his guilt offering. Va'bikurim, and bikurim. Remember, bikurim are the first fruits that a person has every single year. They come and they bring this bikurim to say thank you to Hashem for all their first fruits. They bring it to Hashem because it's not pleasurable, it's the most important to him. כדברי רב אליעזר בן יעקב, ואמורי שלמי יחיד וחזה ושוק שלהן. You've got the emurim. The emurim are the limbs of a shalmei yachid. Shalmei yachid is a peace offering of an individual. Shlamim is a peace offering, yachid of an individual, right? V'chazeh v'shok shelahen, and the chazeh v'shok, right? The chest and the thigh of the animal. Echad anashim v'echad banashim. Doesn't matter whether it's going to be men or women. B'Yisrael v'lo ba'acherim. It's only going to be by Jews and not by others. We're going to explain the Gemara. What does that mean by the Jews and not by others? Ushte alechem, the 2 loaves of bread. Ushne kivsei atzeret, the 2 kivasim of Shavuot. Meaning the 2 kivasim, the 2 sheep of Shavuot, they wave them. Okay? Ketzad will say. So how do you wave? Right? I'm going to ask you right now, how do you wave what are you waving? Right? How do you do it? He says what you do is noten shtei alechem al gbesh shne kivasim. You're going to take the 2 sheep and you're going to put the 2 breads on top of the 2 sheep. Meniach shtei yadav lemata. You put your hands below it. Molich umevi. You go outwards and inwards. Ma'ale umorid, upwards and downwards. Shneimar, but it says in the pasuk, asher hunaf, asher huram. Tinufa hayita b'mizrach. Right, the waving was done on the east part of the mizbeach. Okay, v'agasha, and the bringing it to the mizbeach was done in the west part. Tinufot kodmot la'agashot. And you always do the tinufa before the hagasha. So one more time, everybody look here. One more time. I'm bringing a korban. Certain korbanot, all I had to do was I used to bring it towards the mizbeach, and it was already enough. Other korbanot, I had to wave it, and then after waving it, I used to bring it towards the mizbeach. Other korbanot, I only wave. Other korbanot, I only do agasha. And some korbanot, you do nada. Nothing. Yeah? 1 second, right? So, what happens over here? I've got ones which are tinufa. So remember, rule number 1, tinufa always comes before hagasha. You first wave, and then you bring it to the mizbeach, if you have to bring it to the mizbeach. If not, you just wave it. Halakha number 2, waving is done in the east of the altar. The hagasha is done on the west of the altar. Okay, the west is more towards the building. You remember there was inside of the Azara, there was a big building, that in that building you had the Echal, right, the Ulam, the Echal, and then you had the Kodesh HaKodashim with the Menorah, Shulchan, right, okay, so it's on that side, towards the west. What do? Out, in, up, down. That's how you wave. So if you pretend this is going to be the Shtei Alechem with the sheep or whatever it is that you have, you go out, in, up, down. That's called the waving. Okay, and then I'm going to have to do the Hagasha if I needed to do Hagasha. Okay? Next, Minchat HaOmer, Minchat Kenaot, Tenuot, Hagasha, Vat Utrufa. If you remember, we brought down 3 different cases, right? One case was that they needed Hagasha, meaning bringing to the Mizbeach without waving. One of them is waving without being brought to the Mizbeach. Another one is both. And then the last one was Nada, rien. Yeah, so here it says, Minchat HaOmer and Minchat Kenaot, the Mincha of the Omer, right? Minchat HaOmer is Sefirat HaOmer, by the way. It's the 16th of Nisan. You bring a korban of barley, and once you bring the korban of barley, Minchat HaOmer, that's what we call Sefirat HaOmer. You start on that day, the second day of Pesach, everything becomes permitted with Yashan. That's why after Pesach, we're allowed to eat everything until the next August or September, whatever it is, when they start again the problems of Chadash and Yashan. So Minchat Ta'omed and Minchat Kenaot comes from the Sutah, from jealousy. So when a husband suspects his wife of infidelity, so then what happens is he brings her to the Beit HaMikdash, and they have to bring a Minchat Kenaot, a flower offering of jealousy. So those two korbanot need both tenufa plus hagasha, waving, right? It says the Kohen comes and he puts his hands underneath her hands, right? And then then he does the motion, and then she has to copy in order that they do the tenufa. So tenufa, right? Waving, and then afterwards hagasha, minchat taom and minchat kenaot, two of them only. Fourth one that you don't do nada, nothing, not hagasha, not tenufa, lechem apanim, right? Remember, those are the 12 loaves of bread that go into the shulchan every single week. They go hot and they stay hot until the next week. Then afterwards, the Kohanim come and they start dividing it. Uminchat nesachim, wine libations, they do not need not hagasha and not tenufa. Rabbi Shimon says, there's only 3 types. Meaning we learned in our Mishnah 4 types. You need both waving and bringing close. You need nada, no waving, no bringing close. You need waving and not bringing close, or you need bringing close and not waving. Okay, those are four types. Here, Rabbi Shimon argues, and he says you only have 3 types, right? Shlosha minin, 3 types of korbanot tunim, shalosh mitzvot, need 3 mitzvot. Shtayim bechol achat, 2 of them in each one. Ve'achat, right? He says ushlishit em baen ve'eluen, and these are the korbanot: zivche shalmei tzibur, zivche shalmei yachid, ve'zivche shalmei tzibur, va'asham metzora. Okay. So now he comes and he says like this. He says, right, that there's going to be, remember, the zivche shalmet tzibur. Zivche just means zvachim, something that you bring at korban. Shalmet tzibur, shlamim is a peace offering. Yachid is of an individual. Tzibur is of the public. V'asham metzora. Asham metzora is a guilt offering of a metzora. When a person has leprosy, they have to bring in a sham metzora. So the Mishnah explains, Rabbi Shimon explains. Zivche shalmet yachid, when you have the shlamim of a yachid, of an individual, teunin semicha, right? Chayim. You have to do semicha when the animal is still alive. Remember, semicha is you lean on the animal. Usually they used to lean on the animal, they used to confess. It's called semicha. Smicha, somech, leaning. Okay? Utnufa, right? They have to wave it, shchutin, when it's already done the shchita. Okay? Ve'em be'en tnufa b'chayim. They never wave it when it's alive. Zivche shalmet tzibur, when it's going to be shlamim of a tzibur, of a public, they need tenufa when it's still alive, right? And when it's shachut, ve'en be'en smicha. You don't do smicha at all, because it's of the public. And the last part of the Mishnah, v'asham metzora, the guilt offering of a metzora, you need smicha and tenufa when it's alive, and there's no tenufa when it's going to be slaughtered. Okay? Fine. Gemara on the bottom of the page of Samech Aleph 61. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. It says in the pasuk, "V'ikriv oto leHasham ve'lo gasham ve'anif otam tenufa lifnei Hashem." You're going to bring it as an Hasham, as a guilt offering. You're going to bring the log of the shaman. Remember, this is like a gallon of oil, right? Ve'anif otam, it's less than a gallon, but I'm just saying whatever, 600 milliliters of, that's the maximum of oil. Ve'anif otam tenufa, and they're going to wave it in front of Hashem. Melamed sheteunin tenufa ke'echad. So it's teaching you that the Hasham and the log Hashem, you have to wave them together. How do I know if I wave them separately, I'm going to fulfill my obligation? Tamulomar comes teach you v'ikriv oto leHasham ve'henif. Yachol, I would have thought to say yanif v'yachzor v'yanif, which means I'm going to wave it and I'm going to again retract it. I'm going to wave it. Tamulomar tenufa. I'm going to teach you this is tenufa, waving, right? Ve'lo tenufot, not tenufot. Lifnei. Right? What does that mean? Since it says tenufa is extra, because I could have just said venifotam, just wave them. Why does it say venifotam tenufa? So it's coming to teach you, right, that the b'diavad, if I did it, right, each one on its own is still going to be okay. Lifnei Hashem, what does it mean lifnei Hashem? Mizrach, in the east. Okay? So he says, v'hama lifnei Hashem is, I would have thought to say it's the west. when you say in front of Hashem, which direction is in front of Hashem, the east or the west? So here you're saying it's the east, maybe it's the west. So Amri, they said, Hanimilu, one of these words, mincha diikre chatat. The mincha is called a chatat. The chatat una yesod. The chatat needs a yesod. The keren dromi mizrachi lo yelo yesod. The east, the southeast did not have a yesod. Right? Aval hacha, but here lifnei Hashem karinabe. It is lifnei Hashem. Meaning, right? Everyone look at the next page. There's a picture, right? On the bottom, there you have the mizbeach, the altar. The altar is on the right side. On the right side, if you see, there's a ramp. The ramp is a very, very long ramp coming up to the mizbeach. And when the ramp goes up to the mizbeach, right, you've got the circle in the middle, the tefuach. And what happens is there's a yesod. The yesod is a foundation on the bottom. The yesod was going to be, right, on the northwest. Everyone sees it on the northwest. You've got the north, right? That's the entire Yesod, and the west. And it sticks out one amma on the east. That's on the top, right? Northeast. If you look at the northeast, there's a little tiny. Look, everyone, look here. Which one? Look, there's a little tiny protrusion. Over here, you've got the northwest has a full Yesod, a full foundation. And then over here, there's a little tiny amma, and on the bottom, also a little tiny amma on the southwest. Now, the only one that does not have a yesod at all is southeast. So says the Gemara. That's why I cannot say, right? I cannot say that I need a yesod. Southeast does not have a yesod. Okay, fine. Next, habikurim. Bikurim are the first fruits, right? These are the words of Eliezer ben Yaakov. What is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? The time was learned in the right of Lakacha Kohen Limeda LaBikurim Sheteunin to Tinufa. So it learns that Bikurim have to be waved. So remember, you got the first fruits. You bring it to the Beit HaMikdash, you're going to wave them. My Tamad Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, what's the reason of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov? Gamar velakacha yad yad mishlamim. We're going to learn a Gzera Shava. Gzera Shava means that when you're going to have two words which are similar, and you're going to apply them together, yad yad from the Korban Shlamim, from a peace offering. He's going to bring them with his hands to wave them. Okay, 61b. Okay, Makan Kohen. Just like over there, it's going to be the Kohen that's waving them, right? Aflehalan, so to there, it's going to be the Kohen. Malehalan, and just like by the Shlamim, it's going to be the Baalim that they also have to wave. Afkana Baalim, so to hear the Baalim. So now the question is, how do you have it that the Kohen waves and the owner waves? How do you have two people waving? So haKeitzad, haKohen maniach yado tachat yad baalim umenif otam. Right? What does that mean? The Kohen places his hands underneath the owners, and then they wave it together. So, for example, I've got my hands here. Let's say I'm the owner. I've got my hands here. The Kohen will place his hands underneath, and then we both do it together. Back, forth, up, down. But it's done together because we're both waving. So the Kohen will place his hands underneath my hands, the Baalim's hands, and then he does the waving. Okay? Manami. So why don't we just say that it's also like Rabbi Yehuda? The Tanya was learned to the right. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Vehi nachto lifnei Hashem lokecha zu tenufa." This is tenufa. Ataumer, do you say that this is going to be tenufa? Or maybe it's just placing it down and not waving. So Keshu Omer, when it says v'nicho hare hanacha amur, it's already talking about hanacha. Hamani mekayem v'nachto. So what does it mean now v'nachto? Zu tenufa. This is going to be tenufa. Okay, this is the waving. So Amar Rava says, since we're talking about that it started at the beginning, right? And therefore, that's why it says, and we're talking about Vinachto, so therefore it's going to come first, Vinachto. Since they forgot that Chokhmat Torah is so great, which means he's Chacham Biyoter, right? That's why it's going to bring down Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Okay? Next, when we're talking about the limbs of a personal, that's a yachid, of a personal shlamim, and the chazeh v'shok, and the chest and the thigh, right? Echad anashim v'echad hanashim beYisrael v'lo b'achrim. What does it mean now? So Amar Rav Yehuda Achi Kamar, this is what it means to say. Echad anashim v'echad nashim mikorban tilin terufa. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be men or women, they need to wave the korban. Utrufa tzma. And when we're talking about the tenufa itself, right, is b'Yisrael. Aval lo b'idei nashim, but it's only by men, not by women. Okay? Meaning, even though her korban needs a tnufa, she doesn't do it with a kohen, but rather it's only done by the kohen. It's the kohen by himself. Okay? Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Bnei Yisrael manifa, ve'en ovdim kochim manifin. Only Jews have to wave the korbanot, and not the goyim. Bnei Yisrael manifin ve'en anashim. And it's only the Bnei Yisrael and not the women. Amar Rabbi Yosef, says Rabbi Yosef Metzina, shechalak katuv ben korban Yisrael korban ovdei kochim, right? Ve'le korban nashim b'smicha. We already saw that there's going to be a difference between korban Yisrael and korban goyim and korban women. That only the male Bnei Yisrael do semicha, but not goyim and not women. Meaning women don't lean on the animal and goyim do not lean on the animal. It's only the Jews. So Yachol, I would have thought to say also lachlok b'tnufa. We're going to make a differentiation also in the tnufa. The tnufa is the waving of the korban. So says the Gemara, no. Mali chalak b'smicha. Why is it by smicha is different? Shasmicha be'alim, because the smicha is by the owners. So therefore, the goyim and the women do not do smicha. Nachlok b'tnufa, but to do a tnufa, shatnufa is done with the kohanim. So why did it say the Bnei Yisrael? Bnei Yisrael manifim, Bnei Yisrael manifim, and Anashim manifim. So therefore, it's only going to be the males and not the females, and the men and not the goyim. Okay, that means even though it could be that they need tenufa, it's only done by the kohen. The Tanya Yidach, we learned in another Braita, Bnei Yisrael, en li ela Bnei Yisrael gerim v'avadim meshuchrarim minayin. How do I know if you have a ger or an eved that is freed, a slave that's freed, or a ger that he converts, a goy that he converts? How do you know that you also have to come and you have to do that? He's not Bnei Yisrael. He's a convert, right? They're two different things. He converted. So Talmud Lomar comes teach you hamakriv, right? Or eno ela ze kohen hamakriv. Or maybe it's only the kohen that's going to be makriv. So Kishu Omer, when it says Yadav Tviena, Hare Be'alim Amur. So it already says about the Be'alim. HaKeitzar, what's the case? Kohen maniach Yadav Tachad Be'alim. He puts his hands underneath the Be'alim, the Kohen, Umenif, and then he's going to do the Tenufa, which is going to be what? The waving.